Kath, this time I prepared something to tell you. It was the first time when I said Testimony Sunday. Kath said, have you prepared anything? Just as a backup. I thought, no. Grant, you want to share something? You want to share something? I just thought I'd put it out to you. Yeah, we talk a lot, and about a year ago, you sort of the company you started, you sort of relinquished the company because of difference in values. And we spoke about it. You said you don't know where to go. What I'm gonna do? If there's any, and I said just take it, just take the step. You never know. And you've got so much work now, you've got too much work because you're willing to take that step into the unknown. And that's the most difficult thing to do, to take the step into the unknown. Especially when I said earlier, because we can only go on what we see. We as humans, we don't like to go and faithfully, we talk about it, but we don't like really say, oh, I'm going to take this and God's going to come through for me. No, but you've done it and God is blessing you. And one day you're going to share your testimony, okay? It takes you all week. No, I just want to, this is just sort of then after this we're gonna pray for a few people. Just pray for those who are, you got another thing, coming up, the operation, you're going for operation. We're just gonna pray for a few. Kaylee, do you need more investigations? Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah. We can pray for you as well afterwards. I just want to, just wrap up and give a sort of a thing into next week where we're going to start with Discover Your Potential. I just want to say today, in Genesis 1 verse 27, it says that we were all created in the image of God. I think somebody just said here that you were created in the image of God. Sometimes we don't believe that, but that's the truth. And when you look at the creation story, right in the beginning of the Bible in Genesis, it says that from verse 1 to verse 20, and then God said, whatever God wanted to see manifest, He spoke it into being. He spoke it into being. So whatever He said came into being. And then it says after it came into being, whatever God spoke into being, He saw it and He was pleased with what He spoke into being. And so that's a lesson for us as well. Our words are so powerful. We never know the importance of that little word that we can say to somebody. Just that one sentence. I'm thinking about you. You think nothing of it, but at that moment that person needs it. It's only words, but it is what that person needs. And if you look at Genesis from up until verse 20, God said, and it was. But in verse 27, it's completely different. This time God didn't say. This time God says, let us make. Let us make. Everything He wanted to see, He spoke. This time God says, let us make. There's a switch. So there's obviously such an importance or a significance on us. Because God could have said, let there be men and women. And it could have been. But God says, let us make. Right. So, we were created in God's image. And so we are reflectors. And this is what it means to be created in the image of God. We are reflectors of His love. We don't have love of our own. We are reflecting God's love. We are reflecting of His compassion. I'm always overwhelmed wherever Jesus went in the Gospels. It said that He was moved with compassion. We are a reflection of God's mercy. We should be the first one that ought to be merciful to those around us. We are a reflection of God's patience. This is a good one. I always say this. I look at somebody's patience and I wonder, have you been with God? It's a reflection. It's a reflection of God's truth. It's a reflection of His faithfulness. We are that reflection. We are a reflection. We resonate the significance of God and the sacredness of God. And we are created. We are create means to bring something into being from nothing. God created us in His image. And so God doesn't have love, but He is the very source of love. And there's a verse that says, whosoever does not love does not know God. Because God is, not God was or God will be, God is love. And God doesn't have compassion. He is the very source of compassion. He says James 5 says, the Lord is compassionate and merciful. God doesn't have mercy, but He is the source of mercy. I like that verse. It says, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases, and His mercies will never run dry, come to an end. God doesn't have patience. He is the very source of patience. Exodus 34 says, God is slow to anger. He doesn't have truth. He is. He says in John 14, I am the way. I am the truth and I am the life. So, my desire for you as we go into this series Discover is my heart's desire that we will know and that we will live in the truth. We will know the truth and that we will live in the truth. It's one thing to know the truth, it's another thing to live in the truth. I've seen Christians that know it all, but they're so far from God. And that's my heart's desire for us to know. But not only to know, but to live God's truth. To know and to live God's truth. Because we were created in His image. And here's the thing about the fact that we were created. We are the highest form of God's creation. We are the pinnacle of His creation. And as I heard this morning, so many people spoke about the realities of life. I'll be finished now. The realities of life. When you get to life and there's no balance. Who says life should be in balance? That's life can never be in balance. I got to do this, and life will always be out of balance. When this side of life, we will always experience trouble. We will always experience difficulty. We will always experience bad days. We will always. The only people that are excluded from it are those who are no longer with us. But once we're on this side of life, we can forget about this concept of a balanced life. Balanced life. And so in close, that the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. That verse that says, I have come to give you life and life in abundance. But the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. He comes to kill our potential that I'm going to be talking about next week. Potential is there's so much trapped inside of you that you don't know about. Yeah. So much trapped inside of you. And the enemy will do anything to stop you from releasing what is trapped inside of you. If you don't believe me when I say there's something trapped inside you, you were once a boy, a baby. But in God, there's not another of you, but God placed in the boy when you were born the potential to become a great man. It's all in you. Everything that you need to become is in you. Did you know that? Did you know the seed? The apple seed, as I talk about the example, is so small. It's so small and insignificant. But in the seed, there's an apple. In the seed, there's a tree. Can you believe it? In that small seed, there's not only a tree, but there's a forest. How is God designed that to be? A forest in such a small tree. How is it for us to be thinking that there's nothing of significance in us? When God placed a forest in a seed. And so I want to tell you today that God is pleased with what you have done. But God is more interested in what is in you. hasn't been released yet. Perhaps you've done great things for God, but God is more interested in what is left in you that still needs to be released. And He wants to kill our potential. He wants to steal our vision. Yeah, He wants to. He wants us to dream small. He wants us to think, who are we to have a Christian festival? That's for them churches in America. We only in the valleys. You know, we only in Vavonva. How can we dream of having a Christian festival? How can we dream of having churches and people coming together and praying for our valleys? How can we dream of revival? How can we think of this church will one day be 300 people? How can we think like that? So the enemy comes to, make sure that we dream small. And sometimes I have to tell God, Lord, stop me from dreaming small. Lord, I don't want to be realistic about this, because whatever we want to do is so unrealistic. The enemy comes to destroy our self-image. Our self-image and our self-worth. He knows that everything is on our self-image. It affects every area of our life and every dimension, every chapter. And that's why he comes to distort our self-image and our self-worth, because what we think about ourselves will determine how we go about in life. And I came across this poem in close. You've heard this poem before. It's from Coach Carter. And I thought it's so significant. I want to read it as slow as I can. Our deepest fear, you've heard this before. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I not to be brilliant and gorgeous and talented and fabulous? Who am I not to be? Actually, who are you not to be? Who are you not to be? You are a child of God. You playing small does not serve the world. So do me a favor, stop playing small. You playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others won't feel insecure around you. You were born, I like this, you were born to make manifest the presence of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us, not just in the pastor or in the preacher or the worship leader. It is in all of us. It's not just in some of us, it's in all of us, the glory of God. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. That's why even if your light is as small, you keep on shining it, because you never know whose path you might lighten. And as we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. That means even if I feel fearful, please don't not come. Please don't not come, because that's what the enemy wants. If you come in with your fears, who knows? If you share your story, whose life you might affect by your story. And so everyone here is created in the image of God. Christ has came for this very reason, to restore the image of God back to mankind. To restore, restoration, the image of God back to